The T-34 is a legendary Soviet medium tank, or rather, a whole family of tanks. They're known for their powerful guns, excellent mobility, and in many cases decent armor as well. There are 14 different T-34 variations in War Thunder, from the most conventional of models to experimental vehicles or tanks that only saw limited production. The latest variant could even hold its ground against early MBTs, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. The earliest T-34 you see in the tree is the 1940 model, sitting at BR 3.3. It has pretty good armor for its rank, not because it's exceptionally thick, but mostly because armor is sloped at angles of more than 40 degrees. Some rounds will bounce straight off without as much as leaving a scratch. Furthermore, that's not just about your front. The T-34 has this type of armor arrangement all round, protecting both the turret and the hull. Another great thing about this tank's design is that even if an opponent manages to penetrate your rear armor, the round won't always reach your crew. The next thing you notice is that this tank has very good mobility and off-road capability. All of that thanks to its relatively low weight and wide tracks, set in motion by a B2 diesel engine, which was extremely advanced for its time and spawned a whole family of tank engines on its own. Your main means of dealing with opponents is the 76mm L11 cannon. You'll be mostly relying on APHE rounds with this one. They have good penetration rates and have enough explosive filler. We also need to mention the T-34 prototype, a rare premium vehicle that is really similar to the earliest model we've just discussed, but with a few kinks. It doesn't have the 100mm thick armor piece between the upper and lower glacis plates, but with its overclock engine is 5 kph faster than the first production model. The BR is the same, 3.3. The true strength of the early T-34s lies in their versatility. They can lead the charge, they can drive enemies away from their positions, they take a lot of punishment, and give a lot of punishment themselves. Being highly versatile doesn't mean that you are flawless, though. Low depression makes it harder to fight on uneven terrain, and early APHE rounds can't always deal with spaced armor. Your fuel tanks, situated in the center and in the rear, are extremely vulnerable to enemy fire. And all of that sloped armor means nothing if you're being shot at from a certain angle. All in all, early T-34s have a fair share of problems, but still do very well in a wide range of different combat roles. And their design was so successful that it saw all sorts of upgrades and modifications later on. For instance, a model 1941 got a new 76mm F-34 cannon. It also can use an APHE round with a fuse that has a slightly longer delay. With more firepower, it's even more an all-rounder, now sitting at BR 3.7. There is also a premium version of this tank belonging to the 1st Guards Tank Brigade. Apart from unusual camo, it also comes with a fortified driver's hatch with 60mm of armor there instead of the usual 45. The next revision is the T-34 Mod 1942. The tank is almost 5 tons heavier. Due to its more substantial armor configuration, you get more armor on the driver's hatch cover, the machine gun ball mount, and the turret all round. Okay, moving on, BR 4.0. Here we run into several new T-34 variants, each a result of a different attempt to raise the tank's survivability. The STZ variant has 15mm thick applique armor welded on top of its UFP. The premium T-34E also comes with additional armor, but on the sides of the hull and all round the turret. And there is yet another up-armored T-34 version hiding in the German tech tree. We're talking about the T-34 747R development, with R denoting the origin of the vehicle, Russia. For instance, a captured M4 would have an A instead. You get the idea. Now, a really important milestone in the history of the T-34, the T-34-57. As the name suggests, it has a new 57mm ZIS-4 cannon, which has a fast fire rate thanks to its relatively low caliber, and also packs quite a punch with a high penetration rate using high-velocity shells. This gun is what makes this alteration so effective at dealing with other tanks, even though you'll often have to make several shots to finish the deed due to the obvious limitations of the cannon's caliber. On the other hand, the main flaw of this vehicle is its armor arrangement. It's more or less the same thing we saw before, but in the third era, that's not enough. At this rank, there is also a premium variation of the T-34-57, the T-34-57 Mod 1943. The best part about this tank is its slightly modernized ZIS-4M cannon that can fire a very good APCR round, allowing this tank to hunt the toughest of enemies. Now we come to yet another big milestone for the T-34, and it's all about a new gun again, or more precisely, guns, as we're speaking about two T-34-85 models, each of which comes with its own armament. The first of two sits at BR 5.3, and its new cannon is a part of its name, the D5T. The second alternative sits at BR 5.7 and is armed with a ZIS S53 cannon. Both guns have the same caliber, 85mm, but the latter has a faster reload and also can use a very nasty APCR round. At the same time, both vehicles have access to good APHE rounds. Apart from having decent penetration rates, they also come with lots of explosive filler, more than enough to one-shot your opponents once again. Then there is another rare premium, the T-34-85E, that has mesh screens added onto its turret and hull. Our viewers born in the countries that were a part of the Soviet bloc in the past would immediately see that those screens were made of old iron beds with wire mesh base. Yep. A very simple but nonetheless effective way to boost its defenses against heat projectiles and Faustpatronen. The last tank of the family is the T-34-100, found at BR 6.7. Its new turret, which is even more massive than before, comes with an experimental 100mm LB-1 cannon. A very powerful APHE round, just as on the legendary T-54, allows this T-34 to fight even early MBTs, with World War II-era tanks simply falling into the easy prey category. You can't mess with an outdated design forever, though, and it shows. The T-34-100 has terrible gun depression of only -3 degrees, and is also less mobile than other vehicles of this family. At that point, the T-34 was at its technological limit. Even the brightest of minds wouldn't be able to squeeze anything more out of this tank design. To further advance, Soviet engineers needed to try something completely different. That is a story for another time, though. Do tell us if there are T-34 models that you particularly like, or dislike seeing as one of your opponents in combat. Share your stories in the comments below, and see you in battle.